Hello everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to be going over the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the museum mode. I have done the museum mode before on my PS4, but I never saved that content, so I had to redo it on the PS5. So yeah, just figured I'd take the time to pretty much go over how to do the museum mode, as well as, some interesting facts that are also in the museum mode. So yeah, we're gonna jump right into it. So this here is where you're gonna start. And for our first task, we're actually going to come down to the end of the driveway here. Because at the end of this driveway is Leatherface. Now, what we want to do is we want to change him to his pretty lady outfit. And then take his photo. If I can remember how to work it. Okay, and there's the pretty lady dance. Now, I'm actually going to fix this sensitivity because the sensitivity on this game is bad, in my opinion. Kind of makes me think of the virtual cabin from Friday the 13th, which I still need to finish. But I'm hoping that'll make a difference somewhat. It sort of helped, but okay. And we also have a bunch of interesting facts on this as well. So once I find one, here.
Stop and turn. Gunnar Hansen's stop and turn move was an accident. The boots that Gunnar Hansen wore had 3-inch lifts to make him taller, though because of this, if he didn't stop suddenly and then turn, he would lose his balance and fall. The weight of the chainsaw also impacted his movements due to its sheer weight. So after falling on the first take, Gunnar stopped, turned, and one of Leatherface's signature moves was born. Kim Henkel would call it the Keystone move. The shot of his signature move was recreated in the unrated gameplay trailer of our game.
Alright. But yeah, so all these facts are going to have an interesting fact about, the franchise and developing of the movie with the cast and stuff. So yeah, I'm going to be showing you all that as we go. But now that we found that, we want to take a photo of this chair right here.
Hey there!
Then that will reveal Johnny, and that is what you'll find for what has 7 arms and 4 legs. So, and also in some of these like cabinets and freezers, you can also maybe find a jump scare, or you can find items depending. I know we certainly will when we get to the basement. So now we're gonna make our way up here out front in the front yard. Okay. Okay, so we're going to do chicken nugget next, but before we do that, come to Connie real
Movie
quick.
shorts. A lot of shots were set up on the fly during principal photography by Daniel Pearl and Toby Hooper. One such shot that Hooper would years later call the best shot in the film was no exception. That shot, of course, being the iconic shot of Pam approaching the family house. Cinematographer Daniel Pearl was laying flat on a dolly with the camera tilted up. The goal of the shot was to make the house appear bigger and bigger in the frame as Pam approached it.
Alright, now, we want those numbers from the license plate for the lock on the barn, but real fast, I want to show you this as well. And this is going to be another fact.
Escape hatch. When Sally, Marilyn Burns, escapes by jumping out the window, the glass was actually breakaway sugar glass, made by Bob Burns and Mary Church. In fact, Mary did the stunt of jumping out the window. A mattress and some empty boxes were placed outside the window for her to land on, but setting up the shot took a long time. With the humidity of the Texas summer, the breakaway glass began to dissolve. When I went through it, I was like a glass woman because now I had little particles stuck all over me because the stuff was wet, Mary said. If they'd waited probably another 45 minutes, I don't know if there'd been any glass in those windows.
Now that there's actually one of my favorite interesting facts about this because of the whole sugar glass. That's actually kind of cool. But now we're gonna come over here, and that's actually gonna tell you to get the code off of the hitchhiker's truck, or not hitchhiker, the cook's truck. So, and that's just gonna be 5468. And once this opens, we're gonna take a picture of the chicken. And he also has an interesting fact about him as well.
Chicken Nugget. The game's composer, Ross Tregenza, used real chickens for the audio for Nugget. He luckily had a close friend and fellow composer that owned a farm with several chickens. The name Nugget was born from brand strategy lead Matthew Zepp. The name is a nod to the longtime nickname of his nephew.
So yeah, a little interesting backstory on Nugget. Nothing in there. Okay, and there's nothing back here neither, so I might have to change up my sensitivity a little higher. But now we're going to come back here to pretty much the car graveyard. And we want to come over to this truck and take a picture of its license plate for the GKB 636 task. And in one of these vehicles, we also have a fact. I don't know. Was it the truck? No. It's one of these vehicles. Oh, this one.
Car radio. The song on the radio when the hitchhiker is picked up in the van is Roger Bartlett's Fool for a Blonde. Bartlett has said that Tobe Hooper chose the song because he thought the hitchhiker was a fool for Sally.
A fool for Sally. That's funny. Okay, now we're gonna make our way here and take a picture of these bones for the Marrow Melodies. This one actually was a little hard at first till I actually saw how to do it. Now that we finished the checklist though, before we go back and get our stamp, I'm going to venture a little more back here. I think there's one in here. Yeah.
Fake hammer, real impact. The scenes in the movie with the sledgehammer seem real, and there's good reason for that. Though the prop master Bob Burns made a fake hammer with a foam rubber head, there were still complications. Leatherface actor Gunnar Hansen recalled hitting actor William Vale while filming Kirk's death scene. I was completely charged up on adrenaline, skittishly hopping back and forth as if I were speeding. So when Bill tripped and I stepped out of the shadows, I actually hit him in the face with the sledgehammer. Fake or not, it left its mark. In the pivotal dinner scene, actor Marilyn Burns, who played Sally, was actually struck and bled. I went to the bucket, said Burns, and then Grandpa hit me over the head with the other prop that was a piece of steel, a sledgehammer. That hurt. That wasn't fake. As Hansen noted, some of the blood in Sally's hair is actually Marilyn's.
And you'll find out some of these are quite interesting facts, to say the least. And we're going to have one more over here in the sunflower field. Right here.
Discrete flora. The flora around the house where most of the filming took place was populated by more than the cedar trees common to central Texas. The owners of the house were growing 2 acres of cannabis. They told the film crew that they could help themselves to the crop as long as they were discreet about the landlord's extracurricular gardening. According to sound recorder Ted Nicolau, I thought that was part of the reason for the confused discussions every day of what we were about to shoot.
So yeah, that one I was actually surprised when I first heard it. It really caught me off guard. But that was actually interesting. But since we've now found everything we can find, we're going to go to the checklist here and get our stamp. Now, on that stamp it says 1973. That is going to be the code to unlock the front door, which is also the same year as the first film when it was released. So, 1973. And now we can enter the house. And once you do, we're going to have this checklist area to our left. Now, we're going to have a good few here, and I'm going to try and walk you through it as best as I can. So, first, we're going to go with the skull wall. Now, I'm not going to be doing these in order as the list goes. I'm just going to do what's convenient as I go, as well as finding more interesting facts for you guys, like this one.
He really cut her. According to Gunnar Hansen, he really cut Marilyn Burns' finger in the infamous grandpa feeding scene. The prop knife, designed to pump out fake blood, wouldn't work after several takes. Finally, when no one was looking, Gunnar Hansen removed the tape from the knife that made it dull and really cut Marilyn's finger. Knowing this, that would mean that actor John Dugan, Grandpa, sucked on the actual blood of Marilyn Burns.
Hello, Gross, but here's this one.
Kim and Toby before Texas. Kim Henkel and Toby Hooper met during the filming of Hooper's 1969 film Eggshells. 4 years later, they would go on to create the production company Vortex Inc. and co-create the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Another Texas Chainsaw actor was also part of the Eggshells cast. Alan Danziger, better known as Jerry to Chainsaw fans, co-starred in the earlier film.
A little backstory on the creators. And over here's two
Possible
more.
titles. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre wasn't the first or even second title of the film. The first two working titles were Head Cheese and Leatherface. Head Cheese was the first working title of the film, though, for most of principal photography. Leatherface was the working title until late into production, when it was finally given the official title of The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Kim Henkel and Toby Hooper intended for the title to be spelled Chainsaw, but once the press were sent information on the film, and when the original poster was produced, the spelling got twisted into Chainsaw.
Well, glad they didn't go with Head Cheese.
Cheap thrills. Screenwriter Kim Henkel has said that one of the reasons he and Toby Hooper wanted to make a horror film was their limited budget. If you have relatively little money, what are your possibilities? Henkel says. The clear answer was some sort of genre piece. Horror was the easiest because we felt that we didn't have to have any names in the cast. Production values weren't nearly so important as in some other realms, so it became the natural choice.
Okay, now we're going to come here for the table, because this is going to be our first skull head. If I can grab it and remember how to not take a photo of everything. Okay. And we're going to come through here, and we're going to come back to the dinner table later, but we want to grab this for the dinner table, so we don't forget it.
Makeup set. Gunnar Hansen shared a lot of praise for his fellow cast members. In the 40th anniversary Blu-ray release's audio commentary, Hansen notes that actor Jim Sedow, the cook, was probably the only actor in the movie who could look benign and then become extremely evil without any makeup.
Okay, now we're going to go up these stairs. We're going to take a right and then another right. As we come in this room, we're going to have a flashlight come on. And the other skull is actually going to be over in this cabinet. Grab it, and then we're going to have another
Box
fact.
office success. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre grossed over $30 million at the box office in North America and sold over 16 million tickets. With inflation, the film would have made over $150 million in box office earnings today.
And then another one over here.
Production manager Ron Bozeman would go on to work on another film that featured cannibalism. In 1992, he won an Academy Award as a producer for The Silence of the Lambs.
Now, as we come out this door, I can't remember, but something does happen. But I had a little difficulty trying to go out the door, and I missed it. But as we come out, we want to go to this room here, which is Hitchhiker's room. Grab any of these photos you see so we don't have to later, because there is going to be a task for those in his room. But right now, we're just checking everything before we grab the skull. Grab this photo. And we want this plate for later. And we'll grab the skull and then come into the bathroom for this fact.
Hitchhiker's camera. The make and model of the Hitchhiker's camera is a Polaroid automatic 230 land camera. It was manufactured and distributed from 1967 to 1969. The camera previously belonged to Maria Flores. The hitchhiker stole it after she was stalked and kidnapped by Johnny.
I accidentally hit the button there, but we have everything from in here. So now we're going to go back down to the skull wall, and we're going to put these in order. I'm going to see if I can remember off the top of my head without having to look at the photo next to me, because this photo to the right of me here will actually show me what order to put them in. And I messed up. Okay, I think this big skull head's fine. I think I need to rotate the others. Yeah. So you'll know if you have the task completed correctly because it will actually unlock the photo mode for you, which it didn't for me. So I need to rotate. No. That one and this one. The big one was fine though. And there. That's when you know you have completed it properly. Now we have the skull wall done. So now we're going to go back upstairs. If this sensitivity works with me, I may have to turn it up. But we're going to come over here because this is where we have to put the photos in order. And we want to do the house. No. We want to do the truck and then the house. So, truck, then the house, and then Julie being hung, and then the meat. Alright, now we take a photo, and that's the frames of fear. Now that we have that task done, we're going to go back down to the checklist board. See what's left. Okay. I can't remember what button, but you don't have to come back to the checklist every time. I think it's square. But in here is another fact.
No living animals were harmed. Initially, art director Robert Burns wanted set pieces of real dead cats and dogs. The crew acquired dead animal carcasses from a veterinarian and actually tried to embalm them with formaldehyde. Makeup artist and production assistant Dorothy Pearl, at the time the wife of the film's cinematographer Daniel Pearl, was injecting a dead animal with formaldehyde when she accidentally injected into her own leg through the animal. Toby Hooper then ordered that the dead animal carcasses had to be thrown out. The crew poured gasoline to cremate them, but the stench from the smoke from the bonfire started to make its way into the family house and added to an already foul stench set.
I could only imagine the smell. But also, apologies for the rain if you hear it in the background. But come in here for more facts.
Hitchhiker's pocket knife. This weapon is a nod to everyone's favorite unlikable character, Franklin, from the 1974 film. According to creative director Ronnie Hobbs and designer Rob Fox, they knew the likelihood of Franklin ever appearing in the video game was slim to none, so this was their way of including him as a small Easter egg.
Then grab this one.
Sissy's straight razor. After Kim Henkel and creative director Ronnie Hobbs finished designing Sissy's look and backstory, The only question left was what type of weapon would she carry. According to Kim's secret catalog of character concepts, he always envisioned Sissy wielding some type of straight razor, a small, portable weapon that could stay hidden until just the right time. It's petite and deadly, just like Sissy. It fit her personality perfectly. So even though the hitchhiker carries it in the original 1974 film, it did in fact previously belong to Sissy. As far as what happened to her, or where Sissy is during the 1974 film, well, that's a story for another time.
Alright, and that should be everything in this room. I want to try and make sure I find everything I can. If I miss any, I'm sure you guys will find them or catch them. But now we're going to come over here into the cook's room, find some facts.
Toby meets the cook. Director Toby Hooper offered the part of the old man, the cook, to Jim Sedow after they worked together in the 1971 film The Wind Splitter. They were both a part of the cast in said film. Hooper and Sedow weren't the only Texas Chainsaw Massacre alumni to work on The Wind Splitter. Ron Bozeman was the key grip, Kim Henkel was credited as the grip, and Sally Richardson was the assistant director.
Alright, now we're going to open the cabinet and find the other dinner plate. Then come over here for another fact.
Family name. The family has gone by several surnames throughout the course of the franchise. However, their original surname is Slaughter. Though never spoken in the movie, it can be seen in faint letters on the sign above the gas station, W.E. Slaughter Barbecue. According to Gunnar Hansen, art director Bob Burns made the sign. He said that Toby and Kim were mighty proud of coming up with We Slaughter.
Alright, now we're going to be collecting license plates, but first I want to try and find all the facts I can. Right.
News of the day. Toby Hooper wanted to parody the news reports of the day, which he considered televised lies, and so devised the opening voiceover, famously recited by actor John Larroquette.
Alright, now actually we're going to come back to this room. I want to go down to the dinner table and get that out of the way. So once you find both plates, one in the hitchhiker's cabinet and one in cook's cabinet in their bedrooms, and grab that little chicken thing that we found, we can now do the family dinner. Now, I tend to get the dinner plates backwards, but I'm pretty sure the cook gets the sausage. Put the chicken head thing right here. No? I think I need to switch the dinner plates. Yeah. Cook gets the meat, and then hitchhiker gets the sausages. It should give us, yep, the opportunity to take a photo. And that's the family dinner. Now, we're going to go, fact.
Skin lampshades. Why was the film marketed as being based on true events? According to Kim Henkel, the film's marketing of being based on true events evolved over production. The famous crawl, for instance, was implemented to mark the story as an historical event that was more captivating, but wasn't meant to be taken seriously. Another inspiration for the story were tales Toby Hooper was told by his family as a young child. They told him stories of a killer from Wisconsin that would use human skin for lampshades. This Wisconsin killer was the infamous Ed Gein.
Yep. And that's another interesting fact that I actually like, because it talks about the whole inspiration for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was, the Ed Gein story. But, so now we're going to go back to Cook's bedroom, and we're going to collect all these license plates. Tennessee. Alright.
News.
No. Should be one more. But right here is actually how you'll put them in order. Because you'll have Arkansas on the top left, and Tennessee on the top right, then Mississippi, and then Louisiana. So, right. Tennessee here. No, Louisiana down below. But where? Oh, it's gonna be on the bed. Okay. If I can grab it. As you can tell, it's been a minute since I've been on the museum mode, but just place these in the exact order that you see me putting them. Alright, and then we're going to take a photo, and that's revoked licenses. Now, with all these letters that are pretty much like highlighted, sorta, it spells meat. That is going to be the code for Grandpa's room. So, you want to grab the arm for Grandpa, and then type in the word meat. Now, once that opens, I don't think there's anything in here. Oh, wait. This is the only fact right here.
Grandma's rocking chair. The remains of the mummified grandma, or even any mention of grandma, was not in the original script. Art director Bob Burns added her into the set to show that there were women in the family's history.
Alright. Now, from there, we're going to feed Grandpa. Give him his little arm candy. And he's going to give you a jump scare. After that, we'll have the chance to take a photo. And that's Grandpa's arm candy. And actually, I forgot another fact.
The hitchhiker's origins. According to actor Edwin Neal, he based his performance of the hitchhiker on his nephew, who suffered from paranoid schizophrenia.
Another interesting fact. Now, from there, we're going to come downstairs because there's nothing else upstairs till actually we're done with the checklist. Now we just need the crisp Kringle. First, I'm going to turn up this sensitivity because it is going to drive me nuts. I'm sure it's already driving you all nuts. Alright, now, that should work. So, from there, we're going to come into the living room.
Curtain. Alan Danziger played Jerry, the van driver in the film. He prepared for his first on-camera meeting with Leatherface by being blindfolded. When the blindfold was removed for the initial take, he was so terrified that he ran out of the room.
Alright, and I don't know if there's going to be any more, but it doesn't hurt to check. Oh, here's one.
Scaring a child. In the original movie shoot, the caterer, Sally Nicolau, was married to the location sound recordist, Ted Nicolau. The day they shot the meat hook scenes, Sally brought their then 3-year-old daughter, Karina, to set when she was delivering lunch. Unfortunately, little Karina saw Terry McMinn, Pam, on the meat hook and began crying and screaming. Her father recalled, "I was in the living room while we were shooting that scene, and she came running in and skidded to a stop and just went completely white, started screaming and crying, and went running out of the house."
That child must have been so scared. But in here, there's not going to be nothing in that. Alright. And there's not going to be anything over here. So, now... Oh, right here.
Genuine bone furnishings. The bones used for props were real animal bones found at a veterinarian boneyard and a cattle pasture. Art director Robert Burns led the charge of designing most of the bone props, like furniture and light fixtures.
Alright. Now, from there, we're just going to take a picture of the fireplace for the crisp crinkle. And that will be everything on our checklist. So, we're going to go ahead and get our stamp. And then from there, so you see it has the cola on there. What we want to do is come up the stairs and go to this far room over here to where the Coke machine is. So You want to open it, and then you want to grab the Coke bottle. Now, you see that 1939? You want to remember that. That's going to be the code for the basement. Right there is a jump scare, if you want to consider it one.
One outfit, 32 days. Actors only had one set of their wardrobe. The actors had to wear the same clothing for the entire 32-day shoot, 12 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. For fear of fading or being damaged, they couldn't wash the clothes. So the actors wore the same clothes unwashed for 32 days straight, in 95 to 100-degree Texas heat. According to the crew, Gunnar Hansen stunk of body odor worse than anyone on set by the end of the shoot.
I bet Gunnar Hansen was relieved after this film was done, just so he can take a shower. I love when people are just so dedicated to the role, though, you know?
Preparing for the role. To prepare for the role of Leatherface, Gunnar Hansen went to Austin State School, which was a 95-acre residential and training facility for adults with developmental disabilities. He was there several days to pick up the residents' mannerisms and how they walked and talked. It was important to Gunnar to portray the character authentically, without making a mockery of those who suffer from developmental disabilities.
See? So, here's
Ashtray.
another.
Actors are paid varying amounts for their work in film. For his voiceover in the opening monologue of the film, John Larroquette was paid with a single joint. Recent reports, however, suggest that his rate has gone up.
Alright, then one more.
Friend of Leatherface. Since both of her parents were working on the film, 3-year-old Karina Nicolau was often on set and struck up a friendship with Leatherface actor Gunnar Hansen. He recalled their interactions. She had never liked my Leatherface mask. She was sitting with me one day while I waited for a shot setup. When Dottie, makeup artist Dorothy J. Pearl, came to put on my mask, it horrified Karina. As soon as it covered my face, she started screaming. I had Dottie pull it off. See? I said, it's just me. She calmed down, but when I put the mask on again, she started screaming again. I realized she was too young to make the leap, to see my transformation from Gunnar to Leatherface and understand that I was still under the mask. So I made sure she never saw me in the mask after that, at least until the unfortunate meat hook scene.
Oh, that poor child. But that should be everything. So we're going to check this real fast. And there shouldn't be nothing else out back. Pretty sure we found everything out there. Yeah. So now we're going to go to the basement. And we can't actually take the stairs next to us. We actually had to go down the main stairs, which is down here. And we'll find another fact.
Blood spatter. One of the reasons that blood and gore are limited in the film is because Tobe Hooper and Kim Henkel felt that fear and intensity were more important. According to screenwriter Kim Henkel, he and Tobe Hooper reached out to the MPAA to discuss the guidelines to avoid getting slapped with an X rating. Apparently, the investors of the film were terrified that the film would get an X rating, so all these thoughts were front of mind during production. Ultimately, Hooper and Henkel's original vision of inflicting fear and intensity with the gore and blood implied worked to the film's benefit and made a bigger impact.
From there, we're going to go ahead and put the code from the Coke bottle on here, which was 1939. If you forget, that's fine. Just go back upstairs to the Coke machine. But yeah, so once we come in here, our checklist is going to be to the right over here. Okay, so these aren't too difficult, but frozen finger food can be a little difficult at first. But yeah, so we're going to continue venturing down here. Over here is going to be our first leg. Then we're going to find another fact.
The practical effects of Leatherface's skin mask proved a difficult challenge for Bob Burns, the art director for the film. Mary Church, who had multiple responsibilities on the original film, including continuity and stunt coordination, noted that Bob spent weeks trying to come up with just homemade varieties of stuff that sort of looked like dried skin. I remember him being concerned about expression, or not being able to do expression, and that there probably needed to be other expressions maybe on the face.
Alright. After that, we're going to make our way over here. We're going to find some more facts.
Masks. The Leatherface masks would become iconic, but they were hard to see through. Gunnar Hansen explained, the masks had one unfortunate feature. Their eye holes were small. They fit snugly, but not around my eyes. And the further the eye holes were from my face, the less I could see. It was like looking down a long tube. I could see only what was directly in front of me.
And then from there, we're going to have this fact as well.
Leatherface speaks. In the original script, the infamous dinner scene was quite different. Leatherface had scripted, though completely unintelligible, lines. As Gunnar Hansen recalls, they were written out. His first line is, A-A-A-O-U-U-U-Ber, and then, A-Be-Go-Ba A-G-I-Ma. According to Toby Hooper, these lines had actual meaning behind them. Hansen's script notes pointed out that the first line meant roughly, how are you? Welcome home. Supper's almost ready. The next line meant, I've been a good boy. I got 'em all.
I'm actually glad they did not put that in the movie. I feel like he would come off a bit weird. But right here is also the head that we need. And then as we come this way, there's
Mask,
another fact.
prop, or wardrobe for the role of Leatherface. When Gunnar Hansen had his first meet and greet for the role of Leatherface, Toby Hooper and Kem Henkel were impressed with his size and stature. When Gunnar walked through the doorway into their meeting, Hooper noticed how much space of the doorway Gunnar took up. They knew right away that Gunnar had the physical traits for the iconic role.
Alright. And then right above us, we want to grab this hand. It's going to be for another fact, or another task, as well as that leg. So now we're going to venture through here. And then here's the arm that we need in this cabinet. So now I'm pretty sure we have all the items we need for this first task. Because the one arm is that arm, and then both legs are going to be both left legs. And then you're going to use the pig head. Yeah, they're both left legs. So it shouldn't matter which leg you put down, honestly. But if it does, just rotate them. But it shouldn't make a difference. And then take a photo. And that's the pig head bad dancer with a killer arm. And then over here is another fact.
Leatherface mask. The holes and markings on the forehead of Leatherface's masks represent a hammer to the head. Back then, cows were slaughtered in the head with a sledgehammer, so the holes appear on the forehead of Leatherface's masks to show continuity with how actual cattle were slaughtered.
So yeah. Now we can go ahead into the freezer, which is going to be... This one can be confusing. Pretty sure the body is supposed to be an 8. That's supposed to be 3 because of the wristbands, but as well as the fingers. The bones are 4. And then, yeah, I can't remember if I can crouch or not, but that thing will tell you exactly what order to put the code in, because this here remains as like 2. The 2 toes. So, and I always forgot what order to put these in, because I mean the paper right here tells us, but for some reason I kept thinking the body represented a 1, but no, I was wrong, and I wasted too much time, so I had to clip a good bit of it out. But yeah, so the code is just going to be 4328. Then once that opens, we can take a photo, and that's the frozen finger food. Grandpa's frozen finger food, so well yeah. So now we have killing time and the hamburger. But like I said, we're going to continue looking for facts as well. And you might find some that I might miss. It's been a minute since I have done this museum mode, so I'm really going based off memory if I can. But right here is where we're going to have the hamburger. Now, where we found that hand earlier, we're going to bring it right here. Then after, it's pretty much crushed into meat, we take a photo. And that is hamburger. Now, killing time. Hold on. Okay. Killing time can be confusing as well because I honestly could not remember where it was at first. Because it's in the rear basement. And this is not the rear basement, this is the boiler room. But we also want to look for facts as well. So, I mean, a lot of these facts are quite interesting. Some maybe not as much. But yeah, I just felt like doing an in-depth for you guys. Here's a human head, which is just another item you can collect. You actually can't use it for nothing because, I mean, if you want, you can put it on the body out there that we assembled earlier, but it's not going to be the appropriate head you need for that task. But, so, okay. We can't find any more facts. So I'm pretty sure we found everything we can with facts. Just want to double check back here real quick. Yeah. Okay. Now, the killing time, like I said, is easily missable. But it's not as difficult as you might think. Ooh, here's some facts.
Behind the scenes photo, Bull. During research production for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, Gun Interactive's creative director Ronnie Hobbs, executive producer Ishmael Vicens, and brand strategy lead Matthew Zepp traveled to dozens of locations in rural Texas. Thousands of photos were taken to capture the essence and authenticity of the Texas countryside. During one of these trips, the team at Gun stumbled onto a farmhouse they thought was abandoned, but little did they know they would meet a new friend. A massive bull in a nearby gated field with horns that stretched 4 feet end to end. However, the gate itself was not closed, so the team from Gun found themselves face to face and only 5 feet on the other side of this open gate, with this giant freak of nature. The Gun crew were initially terrified, but they carefully and meticulously walked around the fence while keeping their eyes on this massive creature. They were able to shut the gate, and any crisis was thankfully avoided.
And then there's another fact
Real
to the
torture.
left.
During Sally's torture scene, her screams ultimately led her to shout, "I'll do anything you want," which Marilyn Burns later recollected was the dirtiest thing you could say. It was pretty damn serious. Nowadays, it comes out of everybody's mouth. Now they're doing it for free, they're jumping into it. But in those days, "I'll do anything you want," you just didn't say that. You never said that. Burns continues, though, that Sally's torturers, the Slaughter family, don't comprehend that because it's not the result they desire. Rather, she feels that they're so sexually repressed that they can only manifest desire as sadistic cruelty. What makes them even more horrific is the sense that they gather excitement by watching women suffer.
Alright. Oh, and another one. No, never mind. This is just another leg. But that's a right leg, which is just another measly collectible for nothing. And then here, yep, that's another collectible. This should be a fact.
Banned in the UK. The film was banned in over 10 countries, including Great Britain and Germany. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre managed to have screenings in London, England in late 1974, but by February of 1975, the BBFC decided to ban the film, as they were uncomfortable about the threats toward the film's climax and the explicit use of abnormal psychology. and refused to even give the film an X rating. In 1982, the former Prime Minister of England, Margaret Thatcher, along with socially conservative activist Mary Whitehouse, formed the Video Nasties, which led to the banning of several horror films in the United Kingdom. Additionally, in the early years of Prime Cable, channels like HBO refused to air the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Many cable channels avoided the film at all costs.
Just when I think I've found all the facts, I find more. But now, these chainsaws we're actually going to come back to after we finish killing time. Because it's actually going to show us the code in order to get the basement gate open, which is in the room next to us to the left. But yeah. Now, like I said, killing time, I'm going to show you exactly what to do and where to go. You want to come all the way back here, and then right here, this clock, all you got to do is take a photo of it. That is all killing time is. And that was another one that would drive me nuts until I finally had to look it up, and I was like, of course. But so now that we're done, we got our stamp. The stamp shows a chainsaw, which means we gotta go to the chainsaws now. Now, collecting. Oh, wait. Here's a fact.
All natural masks. Art director Bob Burns performed a significant amount of trial and error to perfect the Leatherface mask. Ultimately, he landed on liquid latex and thin insulation, which aged naturally and yellowed.
Yep. Okay. Now, as we hit each one of them, it's going to rev however many times, and however many times it revved is the code. So, the first one, what was it, 4? Alright, second one is 1. And that's 3. And 2. Okay. So, pretty sure the code is 4, 3, no, 4, 1, 3, 2. Just want to double check that. 4, 3, no, yeah, 4, 1, 3, 2. Gonna mess myself up. And of course, there's gonna be a spoiler at the end of this, but by now everyone pretty much knows what it is.
Help! Help me!
But yeah.
Please. Thank God! Listen to me. My name is Maria. Maria Flores.
And so pretty much when they brought the museum mode, it was going to show that, you know, Maria Flores was going to be the next victim they were going to bring. Which she was. But then, you get found by Leatherface. And then you become his next course meal for the night. And yeah. So the photo exhibit's unlocked, and now we can literally just walk around, and you'll start seeing these buttons. And when you hit these buttons, it pretty much creates a scenario between the victims and the family members. In this case, I can only switch the victim, which I should be able to switch hitchhiker, but I guess not. And then as you walk away, you know, it'll take you out of that photo mode, and over here is another one. Now this one here, we can actually switch both the victim and the killer. I can't remember how many of these there is now that we finished, but yeah. And if you want, you know, try to take a cool photo with the family house in the background as Leatherface tries to behead Anna, or the hitchhiker tries to kill Danny. But I did miss a fact right here.
Stretch of road. Gunnar Hansen had several weeks to physically prepare for his role as Leatherface. I started walking in my neighborhood before dawn, but quickly tired of the dogs chasing me. So I found a field, paced off a mile, and then started walking and jogging. Soon I was jogging that mile, and eventually I could run the entire distance.
And yeah. So I, for one, really enjoyed the museum mode. The only downside to it, though, is the fact that once you complete it, you can't redo it. And I think that's how it was for Virtual Cabin on Friday, although I haven't finished that, which we'll get to eventually. But yeah, just wanted to take the time and show you guys the museum mode. And I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you still play TCM in the long run.